Did you know that our daily habits and routines shape our overall health? But just how significant is this link? Today, we'll explore how lifestyle choices can either prevent or contribute to chronic illness and provide you with practical tips to lead a healthier, happier life. Whether you want to make small changes or completely transform your lifestyle, stay tuned as we uncover the secrets to living well and staying illness-free. Welcome, everybody. I'm Scott Paton, your co-host, and joining us as usual is health coach Martin Pytela. Hey, Martin, how are you doing today?
It's actually a good day. It's been beautifully stress-free all morning.
Nice. Now that's really good. We've been talking about inflammation for the last few weeks, and one of the things that makes people sick often is their surroundings, their environment. It could be the office you spend time in, your car, the air outside your home, the water you drink, the clothes you wear, your deodorant, your perfumes. It goes on and on. And one of the items that has come under scrutiny is air fresheners. And I know so many people that have these dangly air fresheners, or they have this thing that goes on the air conditioning vent or the air vent. And I'm thinking, do we really know what's in these air fresheners? And if you're stuck in a car, like an enclosed area for let's just say an hour to work and an hour home, what's this going to be doing to your health? So I want to talk about all of these things and how they can impact chronic illness. And at Life Enthusiast, we help you find the root cause of your problems. There's no point in just getting rid of a symptom. If, like you break an arm, you got pain in your arm, I'll give you something that will take the pain away. Well, if you don't set the bone, you're going to have trouble for the rest of your life. And sometimes we feel that's the way some of our medical authorities look at life. And everyone's unique. Everyone has a different way to go from wherever they are now to good health. And we're all about helping you with that. And one of the big deals people have is inflammation, especially chronic inflammation. And that's why we've been talking about it a lot. So,
right.
Martin.
Well, inputs, right? Inputs, outputs. Inputs cause you issues. So you just mentioned the air freshener. My wife and I recently bought a car. It was a used one. And it came with a Christmas tree, right, or spruce-like thingy hanging in the cab. We tossed that, aired the car out, ran an ozone machine on it to try and get rid of that, but it kept stinking. And we actually went to detective looking, and we found 2 dryer sheets stuffed into the air intakes, that the places where the air into the cabin is going through.
Oh,
so,
wow.
So they were actually freshening our air using the dryer sheets. My Lord, I tell you.
But, it's not something that a lot of people know of in terms of what is in your deodorant or what is in your air fresheners. And Johnson & Johnson has been making baby powder for a century, probably, right? And just recently, they were fined because they found that there was some toxic, and I can't recall if it was cancer causing or what it was, but there was some very toxic thing that was in the talcum powder. And it was like, how could you not, first, how could it take 100 years to find it, right? So, a lot of times when you and I are talking, Martin, you'll tell me about something that you're researching or you're looking at, and it'll be like 6 months later, mainstream health magazine or something will talk about how great this thing is. So everybody, I want you to know that you are listening to people that are on the cutting edge of the technology, not people that you'll find out were wrong in 100 years.
Well, that's the one thing. But the reason they got fined is because they knew it and did it anyway. Right? Like you don't get attacked by the government without cause. Well, you could, but
not when you're big like Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah, they really had to earn that one.
Right.
But anyway, so we have been talking about chemicals and all of that. the main point, and I'll just drive it again, is this. Inflammation is a consequence of something in your environment that is causing stress. And stress is something that is putting pressure on your autonomic nervous system. And it's two branches, sympathetic, parasympathetic. Sympathetic drives you towards stress, towards fight, flight, and destruction, or short-term gain for long-term survival. And the parasympathetic is the rest, repair, digest. So that's the long game, the repair, the sustained, the helping you live longer. So if you are stuck in your sympathetic, the stressy side, you are wearing yourself down with no concern for long-term survival. This is the immediate survival. But we need to have you in the parasympathetic if you want to live a long time. Rest, as in sleep. Repair, as in restore the tissues, bring back normal function. And digest, well, you will not be absorbing any nutrients in your body while you are stuck in the sympathetic. So, lifestyle. What do you do that helps you get out of the sympathetic, nervous, into the parasympathetic? One, the easiest thing is to take a deep breath, like 3 times, 4 times. Just do it. Allow the sympathetic to drift away and parasympathetic to take over. This is regulated by the nerve called the vagus nerve. And the vagus it leaves your brain somewhere up top here, just below your ear, and runs throughout your body, and it's connected to all the organs, your heart, your liver, your kidneys, all of the major stuff, gut. And so it's reporting back, and it regulates everything. So if your vagus turns on the stress side, many things shut off and other things turn on. What turns on is immediate survival, and what turns off is long-term sustainability. Because we don't have too many resources or excess resources. We shunt what we have to where it's needed now.
You know, that's a really, really good point. And I had a situation occur about 4 days ago where somebody that I work with was somewhat confrontational, and not you. and I was amazed at how freaked out I was, right? Like I said,
reaction.
You know, there's a problem that we have. I said, here's my solution. They rejected the solution. Their response was full of things that were fantasy. Okay. So then I went back to the details and the documentation and screenshotted everything, sent it back to them and said, I don't know what you're talking about, but this is what actually happened 2 years ago. And then that was the end of the conversation for the time being. And I met a friend of mine for dinner that night. And I said, I'm so glad we're getting together because I need to just like vent and get this out because it is just like I am just shaking inside. So he sat quietly and listened to me talk about this. And then he said, all right, so you're done. You're okay now. I said, I feel so much better. I says, okay, now it's my turn. And then he vented about what was going on in his life. And I'm going, I am so happy what happened to me and not what happened to you. I don't want to have what happened to you happen to me. It's way worse.
Oh,
so
God.
This innocent thing always happens, right?
Yeah.
Both of us got this real relief about being able to talk to somebody who just sat and listened. There was no, this is what you should do, or this is what you shouldn't do, or any of that sort of stuff, because they weren't really that type of problems. They were just like, I am just like, but what it showed me was what you just said about little resources. Like I'm thinking, oh, life is good, everything's calm. And all of a sudden there's like some little thing, because it really wasn't that big. happens, and I am just like beside myself in anxiety and worry and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes we don't realize how much energy we're expending during the day and how we're
Yeah.
so close to the top of our, there's no more than that. You're hitting our ceiling.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting is whether the thing is real or imagined, it affects you the same. So whether you have a real problem breathing down your back or whether you're just thinking you have one,
Yeah, if you have a lion breathing down your throat, your back, or you just think you do, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Same effect.
Same effect.
Right. And the second thing, of course, in this picture is that, well, no, I'll just branch to something else, which is this. So having a friend or somewhere to unload it is great. If you don't have that, journaling may let you do that. Just write it out, write the letter, write the poison, whatever thing, burn it later. I don't know, but get it out of you somehow. What worked for me awesomely well was going to an exercise. I would go to the gym after work. So at the end of my whatever work time I gave it, I would go and just lift iron and punch bags and just get high adrenaline going. And the body having to deal with the adrenaline washes out everything. It washes out the excitement of the exercise that I just did, but with it, the accumulated, I don't know what, 10 hours of stuff that led up to this. So it's like cleansing, hormonal cleansing through vigorous activity. It works charmingly well.
Yeah. I love to go for walks. And I find when I go for the walks, particularly in the mountains like behind me, this is a photograph, but it's a photograph of where I am. And I find the fresh air, the walking, the opportunity to let my mind just sort of wander wherever it wants is really, really helpful.
Yes. Yeah.
So number one, get active. If you're sitting at a desk, every hour, get up and move around, move your body.
Yes.
Really important.
Yeah.
And when you look at how many people, over the last 20 or 30 years have moved from an active type of employment to an inactive type of employment.
Oh, it's rising. It's rising. It actually is really threatening to men. I would say this, right? We used to be valued because we could lift weights and work heavy tools, right? Like
chase deer for food.
Well, yeah, okay, the hunter. But no, in the industrial age, where I remember early on, my first job on the outside of the beautiful communist paradise, when I got out, I was in a sawmill. Physical, hard work. But what's interesting is just while I was there, they were already going through an automation upgrade. And there used to be 1,400 guys working in the mill when I joined. And 2 years later, when I was leaving, there were only 400 left. And the work was much less hard because the laborer was replaced with machinery. Right. And I think that's just going through the entire industrial world where we're replacing brawn with automation. Right. What I'm pointing at is that
steel is strong.
Well, what I'm trying to say is the man, because man has the upper body strength, more muscle, more adrenaline, more testosterone, all of that is less appreciated because anybody can do the job.
Right. You're seeing that. So my friend Stan from Kenya, hi Stan, had a comment. Myself, it works well when I walk. That's when I feel relieved. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Hey, Stan. Nice to hear. And
so we've talked a bit about the role of physical activity. You've mentioned sleep and its importance for health.
Yeah.
My first question is, how much sleep should you get? Should it be 4 or 5 hours? Should it be 12, 15 hours?
Well, there's variants. I knew a guy who was perfectly fine on 4 hours. He really was fine on 4 hours. He got phenomenally more done because he had 4 extra hours on the rest of us who slept for 8. I would say this: if you can set your life up in such way that you wake up without an alarm clock, you're doing fine. Your body tells you that it's had enough, then you're good.
That would, I'd sleep 12 hours then, I think.
Well, yeah, because of course, you're the more alkaline type, right? Like you're the parasympathetic, which of course, and there's the variance, right? Like
Right.
you would probably stay up late and then sleep even later.
Right. And I've been pushing against that, because 20 years ago, I would be up till 2 a.m. and I'd be up, I would wake up and get up at 10 in the morning. So it was 8 hours. And I thought, well, can I get it to 1? Can I get it to 12? Can I get it to 11? And then wake up earlier in the morning. And I don't know, like I really found 2 o'clock in the morning was this like really beautiful quietness. It was like there was no cars running around. It was like everybody around was sleeping. So there wasn't this active, like Napoleon Hill says, we're transmitters and receivers telepathically. Like there was none of this. Everyone was having nice dreams and the kids were asleep. And it was just this really nice feeling. And I don't know if it was just my imagination or if it was really true, but that was one of the things I really loved about that time. I was active, I was sharp, and I was relaxed.
All right. Well, here's an interesting thought. Before the industrial age, people did not used to sleep all in one go. It was quite common to take an early sleep, then wake up in the middle of the night, do stuff, and then go back to sleep and finish. And so it was quite common, of course, before industrial revolution. No lights. People would go to sleep at 7 or 8, sundown at 6. Especially if you live closer to the equator, the days are always from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sun up, lights on, sun down, everything's dark, right? In the further latitudes, that's different, right? Like you get the long days in the summer and long nights in the winter. But anyway, the whole idea was that people would take a 2 or 3 hour sleep, then wake up and muck about and do things and do it again. And the interesting part is the tides of the pH. You're the most alkaline, which means sleepy, at 2 p.m., middle of the afternoon. So the siesta actually is a wonderful invention. So you actually take a nap somewhere around 1:30 to 3 or something like that. And the second thing is you're most acidic in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. And so it would make sense that you will actually wake up and be active and do stuff
Right.
in the middle of the night. And for me, actually, I tell you, if I wake up, like I could go to sleep at 10 or 11, but if I wake up at 1:30 or 2 o'clock, I am guaranteed to be awake for at least an hour and a half.
Right. Yeah. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm the same way. I don't go right back to sleep. It's just like, and it's painful. All right. So get enough sleep. What are some things people can do to help them? I don't want to say help them get to sleep, because there's people talk about that all the time, but how about the quality of sleep? Because we have the different stages, where more healing occurs.
Well, there are 5 things that we know of, right? One is light. Get the light out of the room. Keep it dark. The darker, the better. 2, noises. 3, electronics, right? You do not want to have electronics running. Shut them off. Get a router with a switch. Just shut the whole network down. Don't get your phone running. And the light, right? The blue light from the screens is going to make your brain think that it's time to wake up. Not a good idea. And then, well, Eat according to your body type. We talked about endocrine dominance. One type loves to eat late. Those are the adrenal dominants. And the other type, the pituitary dominant, they don't. They like big breakfasts and no dinner. The adrenals, they like no breakfast, big dinner. So treat your body type, live properly. And then if you understand your metabolic dominance, some of us are more alkalized by carbohydrates, others by fats. So eat the stuff that makes you more alkaline in the evening. It'll help you shut down. So if you're the oxidizer, do not try to have a nightcap. Like a snifter of brandy will wake the oxidizer up and let's go to town. Now, if you're the other type, of course, it'll work for you.
Right. I know if I have a beer, I'm ready to go to bed.
Oh, yeah. Done.
Puts me to sleep. Cool. So let's talk a little bit now about the environment. And that includes the global environment, like the world, and we're pumping mercury into the air at a horrendous rate every day, or the air that's in the city that you're in. Sometimes that can be really polluted, particularly if there's inversions and there's no wind to push everything away. Gosh. And as well as just your home environment, right? Like oftentimes I think we have things in the house that are really toxic and we don't realize just how bad they can be.
Yeah. Of course, the people around you, right? All the electronics, all the noise, all the... I tell you, I lived in Vancouver, 2 million people in one spot. And I moved to a small town that had 3,000 people in it. And it was really quiet and calm and nothing going on. And I met a person at a cafe or something like that. And she was telling me, this place is getting too busy for me. I need to move out of town somewhere more rural. This is just a little too noisy for me. So you could just need to move out into a hamlet that's 2 hours drive from the next population center to suit your lifestyle, right? Or to suit your body type.
But this isn't something that people think about, right? Like when you're looking at your life, you should be thinking about, like, for example, I've spent a fair bit of time the last few years in Colombia, and I love Medellin. It's a city of about 4 million people. And I was walking around the other day and I thought to myself, like, would you ever want to live here, Scott? And I went, no. I was very surprised at my answer, right? Wasn't expecting it at all. And I was like, why? Oh, it's too noisy. It's too busy. I love the temperature. I love the fact that it'll rain for half an hour at 4 o'clock like clockwork, and it cleans the air, and it's a really nice evening. You don't have to wear a jacket like you do in wherever I am in Canada. And so I thought, okay, well, that's really interesting. But how many people say, a lot of people are, my boss told me that I'm being transferred halfway across the country to someplace, or I grew up here. But how many people actually make a conscious decision to live where they're living in the lifestyle that they want to live? And I think very, very few of us. And it's because of fear. Oh, well, I have my job here. If I go there, will I be able to get a job? Yeah. And all those things. And of course,
well, again, more and more of us are able to live an untethered life, as in I personally could live anywhere, right? Like my business is totally portable. Is if I have a high-speed internet plug-in, I'll just bring 2 suitcases and I'm on.
Right. Yeah, you don't have a shop that you have to open the doors every day.
Right, but I'm the management. I can do that, right? The guys who are doing the manufacturing and whatever else, they actually have to go there and be with the machines and be where the warehouse is. And they have to go to the location and do the thing. So not everybody has the ability to just go and pick their location.
Right. Yeah. Before we get on any further, I didn't notice this comment from Stan. He said, sure, I'm really distracted by light while sleeping. Yeah, you got to make sure everything is off and put something over the window so that you can get a really dark.
And of course, the eye blinds work too, right? Like if you put I don't know, what is that thing called? Eye pillow or something like that?
I've lost it, like a toque. and it was just the right size that I could actually pull it down over my eyes if I was somewhere where I had no way to drop the light, right? And I thought, oh, that's really cool, and I put it down, and
my
halfway through the night,
emergency
I'm sure I'd pull it off, but I got to
my
sleep.
emergency solution is a sock. Just put it on.
Nice. All right. So one of the things I made a note of when it came to the environment, and something you've mentioned before, but I think we need to keep talking about it, is EMFs. And that is things that, come off of our phones or our iPads or our microwaves or our TVs. And you had talked about 200 years ago during the Industrial Revolution. If you go back a couple more 100 years, there was no phones, there was no electric wires running around. So we were in a very low EMF soup. I like the way you say that, like this, it's a liquid soup. We can't hear it, can't see it, can't feel it necessarily, but it's there. And
the consequences are with us.
Right.
Yeah, you don't feel the buzzing, but you sure feel tired because of it. Yeah. Well,
so one of the reasons people could be feeling tired is that there's a lot of EMF around them. And they're thinking, well, maybe I'm not eating enough. Maybe I'm not sleeping enough. Maybe I'm not drinking enough. Maybe I'm not this enough. Maybe I'm not that enough. When it's in fact where you are.
Right.
Standing.
So if you have the ability to shut it off, then do. But it's difficult to shut off the neighbors. If you live in row houses or in condos, above you, below you, left, right, whatever, there's going to be electronics. So you can't do much about that. If you control your own world, if you can move somewhere, 5 acres of land in the middle of it, you're on your own. But if you are in the middle of the urban development, you need to have something that's going to help you. And there's no blocking the EMFs. The electromagnetic frequencies are going through walls. They are just everywhere. So the only thing that we have found is that you can send a signal to the body, to the autonomic nervous system, that tells it, ignore the stressor, stay calm, keep calm, keep healing, rest, repair, rest, repair. And we have this gadget. It's, there are several brands on the market. The one that we like is called Blue Shield, and Blue Shield makes multiple devices, something that's portable, which is called Blue Shield 1. We're putting up a link to Blue Shield 2 or Phi 2, which is a plug-in. It's about the size of an inverter that comes with any power supply. You just plug it into the electric circuit. And there it is, running and doing its thing. And it has a pretty good reach, like 100 feet in all directions. So not only will it cover you in 3 floors of your own house, but it will cover neighbors on both sides. So it's really good. Now, if you need even more, we have the Phi number 3, which is enough to cover an entire office, like a floor of an office building. And then we have even fancier things that are good enough for places that are like a data center with lots of routers and God knows what else equipment. So that stuff is really good at helping to send a signal that slows down or calms down the body parts that would otherwise go stressed.
Right. And I think this comes back to something we've talked about a lot, in that if there's a problem, there are a lot of solutions. And then you just have to do a little bit of research, do some consulting, ask Martin, ask myself, and we'll do our best to help you pick the thing that's going to help you the most, right?
Right.
So, Martin, we're going a little bit long. I wanted to hit on addictions and drugs, alcohol, that sort of thing, and just maybe quickly talk a little bit, because that's the life. That is a lifestyle, right? The people, they're smoking all the time, they're drinking all the time, they're eating, Big Macs and chips and super processed foods. And we've talked about nutrition before, but we never really delved into the addiction, drugs, alcohol part of the equation.
Yeah, the death by fork Yeah, suicide by what you put in your mouth, your nose, your whatever. Uh, well, I mean, you can certainly try and make a conscious decision to do better. We all have the ability to decide that we are, in fact, valuable and that we actually deserve a good life. And if you want to live longer in a better quality of life, then you need to actually feed yourself in high quality. Like you cannot feed yourself crap, hoping that you're not going to feel like crap real soon. So that's one. And of course, if that's not working, as in like the decision to do better is not working, then you may need a help in the subconscious manner, which we talked about that, something like the EFT, the tapping, or other techniques that reach to your subconscious and resolve the death wish that you have from expressing it in your physical life. It's really hard to solve things with will that is stuck in your subconscious. So if your program says I'm unworthy and I must kill myself, then we need to reprogram that. Otherwise, you will succeed. Yeah. So that's.
And I would say that there's a lot of people that have that type of programming going on in their minds.
Oh yeah, of course. I did too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So all right.
I don't know. We need to solicit for some practitioners and find them people who do this online and work with others. There are. I just don't happen to have any favorites that I could point to or whatever. But this is a call. If you're watching this and you feel confident that you can help people remotely, then connect with us. We'll help you reach more clients.
Cool. All right. So there are things that you can do to impact your environment. Martin, you talked about the Blue Shield file already, but there's a few others that we wanted to bring up. So if you're in a stressful environment, there's things that you can do. One of which is to slow down and take some time for self-care. And one of the things that if I can make the order, I'll say one of the things that you can do is use magnesium oil. So let's talk a little bit about the magnesium oil.
Magnesium activates the parasympathetic, the rest and repair. Calcium activates the stress side. Magnesium activates the relax side. So when you put magnesium, and you need to put it on your body, if you take it internally, it'll speed up your elimination so much that you will have a bowel flush within 20 minutes. So put it on topically. Anytime you want to feel less stressed, put on magnesium. It'll help you. Yeah.
All right. And then the next one is ADR Protect.
Right. So that's a sticker that goes on gadgets. It puts out a good vibration. It helps to stabilize your body. It helps to balance your meridians. So all the energies that are controlling your body will be optimized by having such a thing near you. So these sticker devices do work. They are helpful. ADR4 is one such example.
I have it on the back of my iPad, and I would go nowhere without it.
Yeah, it helps.
And then the last one is, I don't think I've ever really tried it, but I'm going to, and it's Amazing O. Well,
that's a very different thing. Amazing O is a support for your oxygen or it delivers ROS, reactive oxygen species. So it helps your body to heal faster. It's the repair. Let's just say that you ran a long distance thing like a marathon, or you worked yourself so hard that you're practically exhausted, falling on your face. You give yourself a soak with this thing. You put it in a bathtub or you put it in a foot bath, and it will supply your body with excessive amounts of oxygen. So all of a sudden, all of that tiredness will go away. So whether you find yourself overtired from working physically hard or having had an illness, like the classic for this would be the long hauler syndrome that we used to call it things like fibromyalgia and Lyme disease. Now it's called long hauler COVID. Well, they're the same thing. You are simply not able to metabolically keep yourself fresh and running. Anyway, this thing is going to restore the oxygen balances and help you live a life.
Thanks, Martin. Okay, we've come to the end of our time. Before I do a few housekeeping things, when we finish, by the way, we're not going to end the stream. We're going to stay live. We have 4 or 5 people watching. And at the end, like when we're done this part of the show, we want to have a question and answer period. So if you've got any specific questions for Martin, then post them in the comments and we'll do our best to answer them for you. But there's a couple things I really wanted to bring up first. And as you know, YouTube and Facebook and these other places are very sensitive to things that may be said that they don't, or the medical tyrants don't believe should be said. So we go on every Sunday on Telegram and talk about stuff. And you can find us here. And I'm thinking it's noon Eastern time.
Noon Eastern,
9 a.m. Sunday. And yeah, so go to t.me/lifeentco, LIFENTCO on Telegram. And Martin will be talking about a bunch of stuff that he thinks is really important. And he'll also be answering all of your questions there as well. So you really have access to us twice a year, twice a week.
If you ever wanted to remember, Life Enthusiast Communications. First three letters, and 2.
Cool. And we have a group on Facebook, Life Enthusiast group. Make sure you join us there if you haven't already. We'll be sharing lots of stuff in the group. And join us live wherever you're joining us from now, every Thursday at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific. And the last thing I have to say before we sign off is next week we're going to be talking about anti-inflammatory diets and supplements, because people say, oh, I've got all this pain, and well, eat this, drink that, change your diet. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Depends on, I guess, on what it is. But we wanted to kind of touch on this diet, the diet stuff, so that you have a way of evaluating, what's a potentially good diet for you and what isn't. And as I said, we're going to be doing a sign-off right now, but we're not going off the air. We're going to continue to be on for a little while to answer any of your questions. So thank you, Martin, for your time, and thank you for joining us, everybody. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. All right. Thanks, Martin.
Hey, pleasure. Okay. Hit me with your best shot. Well,
do you find that when things get like a little bit out of routine, stress levels for the general population pop up?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
The worst stressors in life are death or a departure of a spouse, moving. Like, imagine, right? When you move, I mean, you put yourself under that a lot, but moving is when you go from one city to another, everything's different. Like, you used to have your bank and your dry cleaner and your whatever else you do with yourself, where you buy groceries, your store, the layout of the store, everything. Life is easier when you just have routines.
Yeah, you don't have to think too much about it.
Yeah. So when you move to a new place, you have to reinvent your life. Well, it takes time, but also brings on frustration.
Right.
And so you are a master now of managing your state because you move to a new location a lot, right?
Well, but I don't, I think part of it too is you have to pack everything up and then decide what to keep and what to throw out. And then you have to unpack everything and decide where it goes. I just have a suitcase and a backpack. So I don't go through that part of the stress.
You have really dematerialized your existence, didn't you?
Minimalistic for sure. I'm trying to watch a documentary on Netflix about minimalism.
Okay.
And it's just boring.
Okay.
This guy's sitting in a room and all there is his chair. It's just boring. No, I'm kidding. I don't know that that's the case, but they're just, I don't know what it is about some.
Yeah, well, no, your life is different. You are moving from house to house because you're doing this professional house sitting, right?
Yeah.
Could you talk about that a bit?
Sure. I use a service called trustedhousesitters.com. And if you're interested in it, get a hold of me because I can give you a link. You'll get 25% off and I'll get 2 months free. But you're right, Martin. I'm going from a fully furnished house to another fully furnished house. And all I have to do is figure out where the forks are. So I'm not going from hotel to hotel to hotel. I do stay in hotels. I do stay in Airbnbs. But generally speaking, the majority of my time, like here, for example, I'm in the Andes Mountains in Colombia, and the fellow here has 2 dogs, and he wanted to go to Pereira, which is about 4-hour drive, for a week or 10 days, and asked me if I would. And I happened to be close by, and he asked me, and he knew me, and he said, "Do you want to come and look after my dogs and look after the house?" And I said, "Sure." Turns out the trip was off, but he said, "Oh, you're welcome to stay." And I wasn't really gonna. But he put a hammock up and I sat in the hammock for a couple of days and I thought, the air is good. There's the odd rooster that crows and there's some birds singing and there's no Microsoft. There's no motorcycles and no huge noises. And so I said, yeah, if you want me, I'll take you out for a few dinners and fill up your truck. And
Neat. Yeah.
So we have Stan gives us another comment here. What are the best diet practices to remove inflammation on the body? My youngest sister has an inflammation on the left side of her breast, which really stresses her out at the age of 25. Absolutely.
This is such a complicated question, right? What is the source of it? Like, is it that some food is irritating? Is it that she's using a deodorant or maybe antiperspirant? If she's using that, it may be irritating her. If she's using a bra that's an underwire, and if that wire is digging into that part, I mean, there could be a physical stress, something with clothing, something that's habitual. I don't know. I mean,
how long has it been around, right? Is there something... Right. Like I know with allergies, they say I think it's allergies, like start removing different foods and see if it makes any difference, right? So sure. Maybe it's the water, maybe, you have to experiment.
Yeah. Does it look like a psoriasis type of thing? Does it look like fungus type of thing? What's the inflammation on the side of the breast, right? Like it's not...
Is it a bruise feeling?
Send me a picture. Don't.
Yeah.
Facebook will ban it.
And one of the things, and I don't usually say this too often, is, are you fully vaxxed? Because there's so many. You just have to look at my Facebook page to see all the people that have been damaged by that.
Right. What are the stressors? Right. Like we live in the industrial environment and we are born with certain level of environmental stress, and we get something from the mother, something from the childhood medical care, something more, and before you know it, you're over your head. Yeah. And people just didn't realize just how intense some of these treatments could be.
Right.
They add a lot of stress to the body. These are chemicals, and they can be very damaging.
Yeah, and we have those chemicals all around us, right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't, I always say, check the labels of the food you buy. Well, check the labels of the shampoo you buy and the
Yeah.
toothpaste you buy.
And check the labels of the medical care you accept.
Right.
Yeah. Formaldehyde is not a friendly thing.
Yep.
Aluminum and mercury is not a good thing. So be vigilant, of course.
Yeah.
So
if anyone has any other questions, pop them in the comments. There's none right now. We'd be happy to deal with them.
To help Stan to talk to his sister, the story is you need to try and eliminate stressors. Well, and there goes the message, right? And I don't know if I can say the words without getting this conversation into the penalty box.
Stan, you need to come on Sunday. And it's early enough that you won't be up late. It's earlier than now, actually.
Yeah.
And get your.
I don't think I can say I don't think I can read the quote without getting this conversation in the penalty box.
Right. Yeah. So come on Sunday, noon Eastern, and Telegram. Text me. We're friends on Facebook. I'll send you the link if you don't have it.
Okay.
So he adds to that might have messed her up. So we think it might have too. The good news is it's not.
There are tools.
There are tools that can help.
Yeah.
We have to dance around what we mean, don't we?
Oh, yeah, totally. I cannot tell you straight up.
We have a hammer if you have a nail. We can fix the wall. We can fix the hole in the wall.
Yeah.
One guy I watch on Facebook on YouTube, he calls it Kool-Aid. Did you take the Kool-Aid?
Yeah.
Well, here's somebody that did take the Kool-Aid, and look what happened to them.
In several of my podcasts, we have used the line, "Have you made the safe and effective choice?"
Right.
Anyway, we'll see.
So thanks for that, Stan. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Join us every week, Thursday at 2:30 Eastern, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Okay.